only addition I would like to add to it is, a little bit short, I could go on here for 3 hours. It just looks like a really long agenda, so.
I second that motion.
Yes.
Keep going.
Alright, number 3, 4th of July. So as far as like the 4th of July, I was concerned, I thought last year went really well. We talked about having a very successful 4th of July festival. I thought we were kind of doing a lot of the same things. Am I kind of correct on that? Pretty much?
A lot of the same things, yeah, we talked about adjusting the times. I don't know if I printed those minutes.
Yeah, I can't use my computer tonight, so. No, the phone.
Oh, here it is.
Jen recommended 3:30 to 6:30.
Yeah.
Is that for the 4th
That
of
was for
July?
the winter fest.
Oh, no,
That was
that's
the Winterfest.
Right, right.
Sorry about that.
Our note from the minutes in August was that the crowd pretty much dissipated at 2:30.
Yeah.
We were pretty well torn down and emptied out before 3,
4, yeah.
not counting the rental tables and tents that they came and got, but
Do we still wanna do the tables and chairs and tents like we did last year?
I say yes.
Yeah.
I would say that would be a good idea. I mean, that would make life so much easier. It wasn't very expensive. Same thing with the popcorn and snow cone.
Did we,
They were a big hit.
do
Yeah.
we need
Snow
more
corn,
popcorn?
Oh, yeah.
More popcorn.
Okay, yeah.
More popcorn and more flavor in the snow cones. It was a little lightweight. And there was plenty of syrup, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
Those
the
were a
snow
big
cones were a big hit.
Were we charging for those?
No, we didn't. More bingo.
More bingo? That's up to the people who get the prizes.
Joy volunteering to round that up.
Yeah.
You did a good job with that. You wanna help out with the
I'll
bingo?
help Joy.
Awesome. There you go, there you go.
Write her name down, everybody witness.
Angie
Raise your
Dower.
right hand,
She
I
has it.
swear.
Right in pen, you can't take it
Spell
away.
your last name. Daurer. Okay. Angie Dower. You don't have to call me Angela. It's only for my grandma and she's long gone.
Hey, you.
I thought you said to call you Angela.
Angie.
Angie's fine.
Angie. Even better.
Alright,
I already have bingo cards and daubers in a cart.
okay.
The note from last time was more bingo cards. So I've got the single sheet 1-packs again, and then I'm gonna do some 3-pack for those people that really play bingo.
The bingo game worked out
3
okay?
cards on a
Yeah.
sheet.
After the first Betty and Beth and about 5 of them played, they were winning everything.
So we need so I need to go through and kinda like put together the schedule of what we did last year and.
Well, we kinda need to decide that tonight, cause it goes in the newsletter that we're in the process of creating to mail on first week of April. Cause otherwise it will not make a newsletter.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
What do you need to have decided on?
Start time for craft vendor fair,
What was it
And-
last year?
9 to 3.
Really it
Sorry,
was.
you can tell me to shut up. I don't-
No, you're fine, go for it.
Really, it was as soon as they got set up at any time after 7
Yeah,
until 3, but if we're ending everything else at 2, it'll end at 2.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I
So-
think the
Cause I
earlier,
reserved the right for them to leave if we had no customers.
I think the earlier, because the fireman's breakfast is until
We need to
7 to 11.
confirm that's happening.
Huh?
We need to confirm that's happening.
Oh, okay.
They took the kitchen out of the firehouse, so we need to confirm.
They did?
That's what I've heard, yeah. That they did, one of my guys was in there getting an ambulance and said they demoed out the kitchen.
Oh.
And I heard they weren't putting it back, they're creating more storage, because they have a kitchen next door at the
Oh,
administration
okay,
building.
makes sense.
But we
Yep.
need to confirm with Pam and John, probably send it to John. Email John Ritter and ask him.
So craft fair, I would say we'll advertise it for 8 to 2.
But would tell the crafters as soon as they get set up, anytime after 7. I mean, we did have people right away last year.
Do we wanna do the bags tournament again?
I think that went over really well.
Yeah.
What we decided is we're not gonna put the sign up form in the newsletter, cause no one used that,
Right.
cause I think you used a pad of paper that,
Yeah,
They-
yeah,
so
it was
we'll
just whoever showed up
yeah.
during the tournament.
And that was down as 2 to 5, but it was over long before then.
Yep.
Did it start earlier?
I think we started at, what time did we start, like at 12 or 1?
Well, the parade was at,
It started right after the
noon.
parade, pretty much.
The parade ended at noon?
started at noon. So it was over by what, 1-ish?
One.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
so
you
it only
should
took
have-
like an hour or so,
Yeah.
hour and a half.
So call it 1:30 to, were you over at the park by 1?
Yeah, definitely.
So 1 to,
'Cause
that was done by 2.
Cause I stepped off the parade and as soon as everybody got by
Once
me, I
it
went
was
down to the
clear.
park, yeah.
So that was all done by,
Maybe we should make the
Before
parade an hour
2:30.
earlier.
Make the parade at 11.
well, if the fire department cooks, does breakfast, though, they don't finish till 11.
Yeah,
So that was why, and they lead off.
Yep.
That way if there's an emergency, they're not breaking out in the middle of a parade. So how long did the cornhole take last year? Hour and a half?
hour and a half, yeah, somewhere in there.
Cause it seemed to go really quick.
It did. We didn't have that many, I mean, we had probably, what, 10 teams, 10, 12 teams.
We have to have prizes for cornhole too.
We did.
So 1 to 2:30 enough time?
Yeah.
So how many rounds of cornhole are you playing?
Just single elimination,
So it depends on how many teams you
20
have.
teams, yep,
So you need 1 prize, 2 prizes, I don't know.
one prize.
First place prize.
And I think we had like 10 or 12 prizes last year for bingo.
Uh-huh.
What time are we gonna do bingo?
And you want more.
Same
Well,
time, one,
One?
right after the parade.
And we had said something about doing some in the morning and some in the afternoon.
You wanna do that?
Are you being in charge of bingo?
I guess.
Denny will always help you. Andy already
Kids games at,
do more in bingo, or do more in the morning, bingo, popcorn, snow cones.
Yeah, I think we need to have some things in the morning instead of everything starting at 1 after the parade. Because you're leaving at 2.
Because we're
So,
saying it's running from,
10 till 11, 10:30 till 11:30, pre-parade. 10
for
to
bingo.
11 for bingo, and then another session from 1 to 2.
that's a lot of prizes.
Well, what did we
They
play
don't
last
have
year?
to be huge.
No,
We collected from the crafters 1 prize
Instead of a door prize thing, we'll use that kind of stuff for the bingo prizes.
and then get gift certificates.
okay.
10 to 11,
10 to 11.
that's a question. 10 to 11,
Yeah.
and then 1 to 2,
Yeah.
2 sessions.
I would like to get the church to bring down their games that they had last year, I thought those were very big, that 12 square and then that, whatever other game they had.
And I got the indication they were willing, but
Yeah.
follow up.
I also have donated, I haven't donated, my sister's company donated, a set of safe lawn darts. They're not lawn jarts.
Good.
There's some air involved in them, and a blow-up bowling set, that if it's not too windy, you can it can be blown up and people can bowl.
And then donating that to the village?
They're sitting in my craft room right now, they're already
Okay.
donated.
Okay.
And then the Jenga went over huge too.
Yeah, we'll bring that down, obviously.
And shouldn't that be in the morning too?
Oh, that was all day
That stuff
long.
was all
Yeah,
set
We'll
up,
just let it go.
yeah,
all day.
and it was play as you want.
And it was played constantly all day, cause it was in front of my booth,
Cool.
and there were people playing it all day.
And I kinda thought if Vacation Bible Church does their 12 square in that again, the safe lawn darts and bowling set can be set up over by theirs.
That'll be a nice full park.
Yeah.
What did BTS do?
They did a table. BST.
BST.
Yeah, I'd probably get them to, we can ask them to help with like the popcorn or snow cones. They can put their booth up near where those are instead of back in the corner of the vendors. And see if they'll help man those. They enjoyed doing the popcorn that we ran out of very fast at Christmas. And we have a meeting next Thursday, so I will, building cabinet together.
Okay, next
So I'll
Thursday
get consensus
at the
for,
bank?
no, we're here because the bank room wasn't available.
Okay,
Doing our annual meeting
Why didn't I
and
know that?
what time?
6:30. No one would mind if they are willing to man the snow cone and popcorn between those two tables. They could put their tent up with their banner, building cabinet together banner, and have their brochures kind of do their thing, plus man the popcorn and snow cones. Everybody be okay with that?
Yeah. Cause last year it was Laura.
Mhm.
6:30?
And that was another one we noted to start in the morning.
Start what, the
Popcorn and snow
popcorn and
cones.
snow cones, yeah.
And then stop it for the parade and then start it again.
So should we just call that 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.?
With parade break.
All right. Is that enough to put something together for the newsletter?
Parade up kickoff at noon again, line up at 11:15.
Bingo, bags, games, crafters. Bake sale? You guys gonna do bake sale again?
If the church doesn't wanna do it, then we'll do it.
That went over good last year.
Yeah, it did. It's just I know that normally SBC does it, so. If we're gonna do it, then we won't, but if they don't wanna do it,
Most
then we
likely
will.
it'll be the library doing it.
Excellent. All right. Anything else to add to that?
Signage,
What's that?
signs going out?
You still have all those.
Yeah, the signs.
The nice thing about 4th of July is the date doesn't change.
Yeah, do you want those up like 2 weeks ahead of time, a month ahead of time?
It's a long time. Week, 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Did we have banners for either end of town for that one?
We do.
Maybe put those up first,
So
A
I think
month
we have
out?
4x4s.
put the bigger stuff up a month out, and then 2 weeks out, put up the other yard signs.
You say a month and then 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Big stuff a month out, out on 30 by the Shabana signs and that. Is that what we did last year?
No, we did it like a week and a half or a
Yeah.
week,
We'll do it all 2 weeks out then.
2 weeks out. I think that sounds like a good idea.
Volunteers called Dave.
We're done.
I'm sorry, you're medicated most of the time anyway.
All right. All right, let's move on then.
Wait a minute, parade?
Yeah, parade.
Are you doing a parade?
Yeah, we're doing noon.
At noon? Okay, we need no parking signs posted along the parade route this year. We didn't have them last year, we had
Right.
cars in the
No
way.
parking between the hours though. Yeah.
Right,
We gotta get those made up.
What are the hours?
What's
during
the
the parade,
parade?
so,
12 to 1.
so 11 11 to 1,
Yeah.
so that they clear out of there before the parade comes through.
Well, also, it'll be the same map as last year, right?
Yeah.
We'll put that in the newsletter.
Same map and route, yep.
With, and mark the parade routes and no parking zone from 11 to 1. What was it, 2 cars last year or 1 car?
There was
There
one
was
at
one right in
this
that corner of Navajo and Pontiac.
Oh,
Do you notify the state?
county.
We'll do a resolution for the parade.
Right, we have to get something to the state through, Route 30.
Yeah, that's the resolution we have to do.
Okay.
So we have to do that we do that at the May meeting.
can we do it just next
We
month?
can do it April meeting.
Yeah, sooner or later, it doesn't matter, yeah.
Parade resolution.
I'm assuming you're gonna do the group under craft thing again.
Unless someone else wants to do it.
Don't look at me, I got library stuff.
Yes.
You need help.
Beth will help you too,
Yeah,
you know that.
Yeah.
I'll call the sheriff.
And then between Mel and I, we'll follow up with the fire department to see if they're gonna do the pancake breakfast. Last year, the museum was open for some hours that day, we'll see if they're gonna do that again. And we'll verify with the Lions Club, which they should be doing the pork chop dinner, they've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
So,
And that's at what, 4 or 4:30? 5.
4:30 to sell out, which is usually 6:30. Sell out.
It was fast.
Gotta get ready for the fireworks.
Are they doing that this year? Is that going on? Because last year they were saying if they didn't make enough money on it, they didn't.
Well, Denny said they had enough for 1 more year for sure. I don't know if they've had any cash infusions donated since.
We haven't received.
We
any-
should be getting those letters out, they should have those letters out in the mail for donations. Usually those come, what, April-ish? I'm guessing within the month.
All right, now we can move on. Governor's Farmers Market. There's a big question on that one. The insurance,
Done.
done? So we're good on location, insurance, we have the signs, everything's already taken care of.
Yep.
Cool. Next agenda item, community garden.
The map for the community garden got updated. We've already had 2 people sign up. Dan did so he could get 3 plots he's been taking care of for 3 years now. So, pretty much that one, were you gonna do numbered stakes to identify, or do you want me to get something?
Yep, we're working on the stakes. I have somebody helping me make out the numbers, and then the signs will be ready to go within a couple of days after that.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure,
No.
I don't think that soil over there is very good.
it's fantastic, what are you talking
It
about?
is
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Cause we can go up to Salmonac Road and get a trailer full of good dirt.
We can go out to the waste treatment plant, we got dirt on it.
It's
Got
well
rocks and
fertilized
everything
dirt.
else.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's some
Fertilized
rocks.
dirt. So if you've had plots in the past and you'd like your same plots, you'll wanna fill out the paperwork and turn in your money and reserve your plots very soon.
Is this Dan?
Yes.
Yeah,
So who's village tilling them?
we could.
Cause they can use my rototiller again.
Yeah, we'll send Jake down there to turn them.
When are they ready for planting? When do people start planting?
Middle of May.
Yeah, I would say very in April, maybe, but I doubt it.
Middle of May usually.
Yeah, it should be done.
Last frost is usually May 15th or May 20th.
Yeah, right around then.
And then the only other big change on the map was identifying the exact layout, cause that had a lot of confusion last year. with
That's why we
the
did the
layout.
numbered
So
signs.
I laid out what streets where the township building is, where the water hydrant is, south of plot number 1, and a compass to designate, so nobody should have a question on
Yeah,
the
okay.
layout.
Plus we'll have the numbers on the lot.
Yes.
Okay, cool, yeah.
And this is what we're using in the office when people come in to register.
All right, next agenda item. Wait a minute, does anybody have anything to add to the community garden? No?
Well, did
All
I
right,
have those?
all right, we'll move on.
Or that was here.
Chickens.
Make a suggestion.
Sure.
Seems that there's people here that are probably gonna wanna say something about that. Would you object to moving public comments now so they can address
Oh,
that,
yeah.
so we can discuss anything that they would bring up?
Yeah, let's see. I don't have any objection. Anybody else? No? Does anybody have any comments about the chicken ordinance?
No, we're talking about what we talked about so far.
What's that?
He's on chickens.
I don't have any objections to public comments right now on the chickens.
What is the ordinance being made on the chickens?
We already have an ordinance on chickens. The question that came up to the council was to eliminate the
Right,
chicken ordinance, and I believe you were there to counter that, and you had a good counter, so the council is going to, this committee will make a recommendation to the council to keep or get rid of the ordinance that we have,
Or revised.
or revise. I don't know what the revision would be, we have, let it go, leave it on the books. You guys have anything you wanna change? Otherwise, when we come up with it, you guys gonna vote on it, to keep it or get rid of it. There'll be a motion, somebody will make a motion to, retain it.
And
Do you have a question?
I do, I have a question. So, like, as far as I know, there has been some question about the adjudicating of the ordinance.
that's under adjudication.
Yeah, we have that.
Okay, so that's the thing, is like, if there's going to be, like, if there's going to be adjudication of the ordinance, then the ordinance is fine. But if we're going to get rid of the ordinance, yeah,
That was the council, if I can, the council discussion, circled around enforcement. If we have someone that has violated one of our ordinances, we have no mechanical way of getting a violation through to the attorney. So that's when the attorney recommended an adjudication process. And I'm going to, Mark, you just looked up an adjudication process?
Yes.
It's basically, we hire an attorney, the attorney is the judge. You have violated an ordinance, let's say you have a junk car, and you have not moved that junk car, and so you're gonna get a fine. And every day that you violate an ordinance, if every day it's $50. Okay, so now you have $250 you gotta pay, so you don't wanna pay, but you go to adjudication, then the adjudicator will say, did you get rid of the car? Well, no, okay. Pay the clerk, the $150, plus you're still in violation. But, it'll be the adjudicator's job to rule on it. And, it's pretty simple, whatever the fines are, we have those pretty much laid out in our ordinances. And, like you say, the chicken ordinance is there to cover the humane treatment of the animals, and there's a way to do it. If you follow the ordinance, then you've got no problem.
yes.
If, some person complains to the sheriff that, my neighbor, has, dogs that run around outside of his yard, or he's raising 16 dogs, and our ordinances say you can only have 3. I'm just using it as an example. You're in violation, and that would go to our adjudication process. The fines go directly to the village. There will be attorney's fees. You show up and there's adjudication, you gotta pay the fees. Now, probably, and I'm just throwing this out, it'll probably be once a month. Now, if nobody has violated our ordinances, we're not gonna have adjudication. We're not gonna pay an attorney to come in here and say, yeah, nobody's here and go. This will all be a process.
So that's the thing, is I feel like if the ordinance says you have to do this, this, and this, then the people just should do this, this, and this,
Exactly,
and then there would be no problem.
That's
So,
That's right,
that's
If
right.
they don't,
then you have to do something.
And that's
Who
where we,
enforces that though? Let's say,
who enforces it? Right now, will be an example. Oh, we had a gentleman that parked his vehicle, and there was 2 inches of snow. And he left the vehicle there for 3 days, you know? And so what the village does is we send you a letter and we said, you have left your car out. And it was 3 days, I think it was 6 days, I don't know what it was, but his fine was $300. So we just said, you're in violation of this ordinance, and every day was this much. You moved your car on this day, make a check out to the clerk, which he did. I have taken ordinances and, people that don't cut their grass. I'll just stick it on their door, cut your grass, or we will. If we will, we're gonna charge you for it. If you don't cut it, and we don't cut it, then you're gonna get a fine every day. If you wanna pay $50 a day, you know, that's up to you. But, the adjudication process will be, if you don't cut it within this amount of time, you're in violation, and the adjudicator, you know, now, if you can come to the adjudicator and you have an excuse, well, I left my car there, because my mom died and I was out of town. All right, then that's up to the adjudicator to see, okay, let me see the death certificate and let's go. You know, I mean, that's what it will be. It will be like court. Now, of course, your thought then, okay, so you're the guy that comes in and goes, I'm not gonna pay a fine. I'm skating. No, because now it will go to DeKalb County Courthouse. Now they will give you a notice to appear in court. And I don't know if you're familiar with the criminal process or the process, is that if you don't appear on a notice to appear, you get a summons. If you don't appear on a summons, what's next? There's a warrant for your arrest. There has to be in society some way of saying this is what we do. So that's pretty much, I believe, what this step process will be. But the whole thing is, we cannot afford a full-time police department. I can call the sheriff if somebody's next door is burning garbage, you know, I can call the sheriff and they'll go talk to the guy and say, hey, stop it. If they don't stop it, then they'll come back and say to the village, well, the guy won't stop, what do you wanna do? Well, we'll send a letter and then the process goes. But up until now, today, we don't have a process other than we're just looking for voluntary compliance. We have, and Jeff will back it up, we have had complaints where we have ended up in court. We have taken it the entire process. It costs the village, and trust me, it will end up costing you if you wanna fight. But we will go to that extent if we have to.
If I can
Go
add,
ahead.
going through the court system that the village has, and in some cases, it could take 2 years. The adjudication system will be much quicker for everybody.
Absolutely, yeah.
The hearing officer or the attorney that hears them is not connected to the village.
Right.
They're certified by the state, they go through training to do adjudication hearings. It's a state statute. Many communities have the same process, because it saves them time, it saves them money, it saves the, as I'll call it, alleged violator, because they're not guilty until they go through the system, or they pay their fine. When they do that, they're admitting, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. So this should be much cleaner for everybody.
Right.
But it shouldn't even happen.
It shouldn't.
Everybody goes with the,
It will though, but it
It's a,
should,
it's a civil process.
yes.
So that it's not a criminal process. So you appear, the attorneys does not get paid more money to find people guilty. It's a set rate. Because it has to be, they have to be unbiased. And so they'll come in and they'll tell the village, they'll contract with the village, it's gonna cost X amount of dollars. And if they sit here 1 hour or 4 hours, it's still X amount of dollars. They don't get more money to find people guilty. And this is the community I worked in, we put one together and it was great. And we had people that would come in that owed thousands of dollars in local ordinances. And the judge would say, no, I'm not gonna find in favor of the village. You have a good excuse. you know, good luck, village, next time make a better case or whatever. So it works, and it's sanctioned by the state, it's perfectly legal, it doesn't put people in jail.
Yeah.
There's really, I mean, to show up and argue your case, you're being heard by an impartial person. Even though the village contracts with them, they're not a village employee, it's a private contractor.
I mean, it basically starts out, if she's my neighbor and she's got long grass and I'm her neighbor, I say, hey, cut your grass, you know? And then if she does, we're looking for is compliance, that's all. We have ordinances, we have zoning laws, rules, follow the rules, and there's not a problem.
Everything's fine.
Many states across the United States use the exact same system. It's not just in Illinois.
Right.
So bottom line, we're keeping the chicken ordinance then, because we're still on item 6.
You're recommending, no, we're on number 9, public
We're on-
comment is over.
We're still on item 6.
Right, chickens, we're still on chickens.
We're still on
Okay.
chickens.
So we're
We
gonna
kinda
just,
went together.
sorry, so we're just gonna keep it so that we have rules about if you're going to keep chickens, you keep the chickens, but they have to have this, and this.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
rules,
Look on our
And you
website,
have
it's
to
all there.
pay.
and you have to pay, right?
Yep.
So there's ordinances,
Yep.
there's
There are
rules about
ordinances
having
there.
chickens, but you can have chickens.
Yeah.
Yes,
But this is a committee that recommends to the board has the final say.
right,
And so it's been pushed to the committee, and the committee has to take the recommendation to the board.
So the recommendation is we're gonna keep the ordinance.
And I think there's an amount, isn't there, in the ordinance?
what amount of work?
For chickens, that's.
So
Yeah,
we
you
need a
know,
motion to recommend.
I think you can only have,
Chickens, correct?
So I'm gonna make a motion that we recommend that we keep the chicken ordinance as it is.
Yes, yes.
And the
Second?
pet law too, like,
Hold on,
Yes.
that's coming up.
We're
Hold on.
we're still on chickens.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, passes. Alright. Now we can move on to number 7, animal control. So there is a county ordinance that has, numbers on it. As far as I was concerned, I thought that was, a good enough ordinance. No
Numbers,
rule.
you mean like how many?
What is it?
3 and 2, 3 dogs, 2 cats. I didn't say anything about rabbits, birds, or minks or anything like that, but,
Well, it says no fowl, our ordinance says no fowl,
okay,
so that has to be adjusted
the
too.
county one.
I have a problem
Ours.
with the numbers.
Yeah,
To me, that's draconian.
I don't think there should be that much,
It's-
that low.
First of all, it's completely unenforceable,
Mhm.
okay? And, I mean, you bring a case like that in front of a judge in any judicial circuit, he'll laugh you right out of court.
Right.
I personally think it's not about how many animals you have, it's about being responsible for them. If you have 15 dogs, I don't care. I don't want their mess in my yard, I don't want them chasing my family, I don't want them chasing my pets. Keep your animals under control, and you can have as many as you want as far as I see it.
I agree, and that's why I was trying to,
So,
Yeah.
so what you're
Yes.
saying is it comes down to adjudication.
Yes,
I don't think the numbers are the issue,
no,
okay?
It's
To me, that,
it's the owner.
it's the owners.
be responsible.
Because the animals don't know any better.
No.
You know, and if you wanna have, I don't care how many animals you wanna have, I don't, I really don't. I just don't want them to interfere and infringe on my right to have a private, quiet evening. I don't wanna be cleaning up the mess, and I don't want them biting me.
Or to come over and attack my
Right,
animal.
keep your animals under control, and as far as I'm concerned, have as many as you want. That's just how I feel about it. I think putting numbers on it is,
Yep.
it's absurd, because how do you enforce it?
right, so then how do we have to have a rule on that, or just?
I don't think you put numbers at all. If
No,
you
I
keep
mean,
it,
as a rule, not numbers, just, how do you say,
you are
it's the
responsible.
responsibility of the pet owner to
Right.
do these 3 or 4 things?
Right,
Well, they're
Not
supposed to be on
infringe.
leashes.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep. I think
I
both
think
is,
whatever our
yeah,
rules
it
are,
is.
just,
Yeah,
you wanna
whatever's
just
on the
maintain
books
them
now.
and just push it through the adjudication ordinance as we
Right.
do the chickens.
When that couple came in, and what irritated me the most is they did everything a citizen in this country should do.
Yes.
They didn't call the police first. Okay, they went to try to reason it out with their neighbor. Their neighbor gave them a bunch of lip service.
Yep.
And then they said, well, now we've gotta escalate it and call the police. The police came out, and the deputy didn't do their job, as far as I'm concerned, based on what they said, okay?
And they just about killed their dog.
Right, and where else are they supposed to go?
Right.
So they come to us.
Right.
And that is about, I'm sorry, but that's about being a responsible pet owner.
So we need to have like some responsibility guidelines, is what you're
I
saying.
think we got them.
We got them?
I think so.
Okay.
I just don't wanna
I
be,
didn't see that.
I just don't wanna be, putting draconian rules that you can only have X amount of.
Neither do I, that's why I brought up the rabbits and,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, that stuff. Just trying to make it ridiculous. There goes your pony. Yeah, I think you're right on that. Do we need any motion or anything like about that, or any
Recommend
recommendation?
keeping it
Just a
as is.
recommendation.
So what would recommendation be, like,
Whatever's on the book.
Keeping
now.
our current animal control ordinance, the way that
Yeah.
it is, instead of changing it.
Just leave it.
and number 8, administrative adjudication, do we need to talk about that anymore?
How does it work? No.
We all know what it is.
I think,
It's a joke.
we just look at, the state has a couple, has the process, we look at the process, and I know that Keith has the templates. We just find the right template for the village and move ahead. But I personally would like us on the 25th, the meeting, to tell him to move ahead with a template and put this process in as soon as possible. That's what I would request of the committee.
That would be our recommendation.
I wholeheartedly recommend it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that idea, recommendation. Art?
Cool.
Good?
Well, just so everyone knows in the room, I'm not on this committee, so I've been trying to not say much, but
It's so hard.
the committee brings it to the board, but I'm just here because anybody can come. It's every meeting, so. But that's why I didn't
Do you need
join.
a, do you need a motion?
We all agree on the recommendation to
Oh, absolutely.
move forward on it. And then number 9, public comment.
We're done.
We're done?
Yes.
Yes.
You can go.
No, you can go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm in favor of adjudication, but I think we should have a board in front of that. Like, the adjudicator would be the final word, but I think there should be like a jury of some sort to be the first line of defense for the citizens. Like, you get a fine, you go in front of the jury, they determine whether it goes on to the adjudicator or not. That way, you don't have to pay anyone for the first line, and if the jury decides that it's not a valid fine, then nothing happens.
That is the role of the adjudicator.
Yes, but that's only one person who is not part of the community.
That's
Okay.
the idea, it's impartial.
He's impartial.
Yeah, so what's wrong with having a jury of their
Well, the
peers?
statute
Yeah, the
supports it.
statute doesn't support it, the statute for adjudication is pretty, it doesn't function.
Yeah.
I did, when I looked up the statute, it was amended again, it was either 2017 or 18, it changed, because it used to be only home rule communities could use the adjudication system. And then it's been over half a decade ago, non-home rule communities could adopt the same thing. And then we'd have to pass an ordinance regarding that.
Yeah,
But we have to follow the state statute and the way it's set up, because we have to use a state certified judge or hearing officer. I've seen it called both ways. And I know that's how it works in all the other communities. And there's a lot of required, everything has to be recorded, it has to be available, for the state to review, because it's reviewed, I forgot how often, it's all in the statute. The circuit court will review the results of communities that have adjudication minimum once a year, and I think for larger communities, it's probably every month. So it's watched really closely.
if you're gonna ask community members to be a jury before it gets to the adjudication, then there's gonna be some partiality in some way.
And there's also no legal responsibility or requirement for them to do it,
Yeah.
because there's no statute that covers what you're proposing. If you can find a statute, please share it, I'd love to see
Okay,
it.
I know there's no official state statute, but we would still,
Then we can't act, because it has to be something that's based on the law. There has to be authority by the state for that to happen, because a jury is a lot more powerful than you might think. They have subpoena power.
I know it's not an official jury.
Then what's the point?
I'm just saying it's a line of defense for citizens.
So that the presumption, then, if I'm understanding,
Mhm.
the presumption is that they're coming in guilty anyway.
No, they received a fine, so they are.
No, the fine is assessed by the judge.
Well, the reason that they're going before the adjudicator is to fight a fine, right?
Just like a speed.
No, they would be fighting whether they're guilty or not.
Yeah.
Like he said, the fine is assessed by the adjudicator.
Okay, but the village says you're guilty of something, and
Correct.
Alleges.
yes, they allege that they're guilty of something, and therefore you have to fix it and pay this fine.
No, that's not what it is. What it is you go before the hearing officer, the hearing judge.
Mhm.
The hearing judge will listen to your case. The hearing judge will listen to any case or any witness that the village would bring forth as well.
Mhm.
They will make the determination as to whether or not you're gonna pay the fine. The village can bring the complaint and say, I don't know what your name is, but the village can say, you did this.
Mhm.
You can say, hey, I'm not guilty of this. Okay, I feel I have a case. You don't have to pay one dime until you were found liable of that.
Yeah.
But it's also the same thing, but you get a traffic ticket.
Right.
You can either pay the fine or go to court.
Yeah.
And that's the options you're given right away.
You don't have a jury that determines whether or not it's frivolous or not before you go to court. You're talking about petty offenses here.
I know.
You're not talking about felonies, you're not talking about misdemeanors, you're talking about petty offenses. There's no jail attached to it, there's fines.
Mhm.
Okay, you can take it, even if you don't like let's say you're found liable. If you don't like it, you can kick it into the judicial
Yeah.
circuit. So you have further recourse.
Yeah, but the idea is you don't want to get to that point.
But the
Then
idea of what you're
Then
saying
don't
is,
violate the law.
Yeah,
Right,
then don't
you're-
violate the ordinances.
your own argument
That's all
is
there
coming
is
in,
to it.
I'm
Even
gonna
if-
assess the fine, you
you
haven't
know,
been assessed it.
We have ordinances.
When you get into, okay, we wanna supplant, we wanna have this 3-person jury, right, that's
Okay.
gonna, okay, where do they come from?
They're elected or
Okay, they're elected, who elects them?
the people.
The people elect 3 people, and where are you gonna get the people to run for this office? I'm gonna tell you right now, I have difficulty filling a board. I have a difficulty getting people to be on the library board. I mean, it's difficult to get people to do stuff like that, number one. And number two, if you're gonna have someone do it, someone's gonna have to pay for it somewhere. If you're gonna go through an election process, then you have to go through the state to get it on the ballot.
Who indemnifies this jury?
Right. I mean,
So,
there's
let's say
a
you're
lot
on-
more to it than just,
You're
yeah,
on
we'll
the
put
But the
it
jury
together.
doesn't assess anything.
No, but who indemnifies them? Okay, so you're on the jury, you call me in, you don't like me for some reason, okay? I can't prove that, but you make a decision. So now I get an attorney, and I come
We have
after you.
ordinances.
Who indemnifies you? A jury is indemnified by the court and by the state statute. What you're proposing is people to stick their neck out there liability-wise, make decisions that affect people's lives and pocketbooks. And who's gonna
Their
indemnify?
decision doesn't have any impact.
But it
Yeah,
does.
Also, you have to understand, now I have a board here. If I have a board of 6 people, if nobody runs for election, then someone has to be on that board, is what you're saying, correct?
You just
Who
said
appoints
something-
them?
You just said something that contradicts it.
Sorry.
If they have no authority, then why have it?
So they don't assess the fine. The
No.
adjudicator does.
You said they don't have any authority.
Their only authority is to drop the case. So the village would issue whatever violation, they would appear to the jury, and then they would either say this is not valid, the village's case is dropped, or they would say you can continue on to the adjudicator, and the adjudicator has the final word.
So it's an indictment
Oh, what
process.
is your legal theory on
I
this?
think we've kind of,
Where's the
Yeah,
legal
I got
theory?
one thing I wanna add.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what's the legal theory? Because I'm lost here. You've contradicted yourself. You said they don't have any authority.
They don't have any authority to issue fines.
That's not what we're talking about. They have to have authority on something.
Their authority is to dismiss the village's case.
Okay,
The
that's
adjudicator.
an adjudicator.
That's similar to going to a grand jury. You go to a grand
Yeah,
jury to get
grand
an
jury
indictment,
works, yeah.
you know.
The alleged violator in the adjudication system, they're allowed to have an attorney represent them, they are also allowed to have witnesses on their behalf that can testify. They're allowed to do that. So like, you know, if somebody has a good case and they have really good witnesses, then adjudication.
yeah, they get their chance to make their case.
Yes, they do.
Who swears in the jury?
It's not really a jury.
Well,
Yeah.
who swears in the jury?
Yeah.
So my idea on this isn't tremendously different than his. So generally speaking, village ordinances are there to protect villagers from other villagers. So like the chicken ordinance is there to prevent being a nuisance to other people.
Quality of life issues, yes.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense to me. My thought is, generally speaking, with that being the case, the village should, and I think this would save money too, empower arbitration. So it can be voluntary, like you can just, like whoever has a problem with anybody else, you can just say, hey, do you wanna go to arbitration, voluntary
What if
arbitration?
I don't?
Well, if you don't, then you can have the adjudicator. But I think it's good to have that process in place first.
And
We have that
I'm
in
just
place where I tell her, you know, cut your grass.
I'm just gonna ask you I'm gonna ask you the same thing.
Yeah.
Under what legal theory are you working? Where you're forming this thought? Under what legal theory?
I don't know that it's a particular legal theory, but
Then how does it hold water?
I'm just saying that,
And I hear what you're saying, okay? What I'm asking you is, what legal theory are you coming in here with? It's an opinion, which I respect your opinion. But your opinion doesn't hold water when it comes to, I disagree with you. Okay, you have to have a legal theory in order to base juries on it. They have to have authority. Who's gonna give them the authority? Who's gonna swear this jury in?
well, my thought isn't that you have like a legal jury. I agree, I agree with
Then
you.
what if I don't wanna come in?
It would be nice if we lived in a commune, then you could do that. But we're not a commune, we have ordinances, we have laws, and I'm not gonna say that your proposal has ever been projected before, but we have an adjudicator, we have a law, we have an adjudicator that is going to determine whether it's valid or not.
So bottom line is we need to keep moving forward with the adjudication process the way it's established.
Yeah.
I think so. I wanna add one more thing. Again, I'm not on this committee, but I retired from a regulatory position. And I know we always had to do whatever the statutes were. Because the law and cite somebody for something that's not actually a law. But in the position I held, and I feel the same way on the village board with the village. In every case that I'm aware of, we'll see something like somebody hasn't cut their grass. We'll approach them and say, hey, you need to cut your grass, and here's why. And yeah, I'll get to it in a couple days, and they don't, and then eventually we post it. And then it becomes to be a repetitive thing, but we give everybody an opportunity to correct what the issue is.
Compliance.
And in most of what we cite people for, they're really, in most cases, really obvious things like 3 cars in your yard that have been there for 10 years, there's trees growing through them, things like that. And I think the adjudication way would really speed things up. Because a lot of these things go on and on and on because we don't have a method or the resources to go through the court system. And it goes, and it'll stay in court forever, and we just keep paying legal fees. And it's just, and there's projects we don't get done, cause occasionally there's properties that we can't remediate, because we're hung up in this court system.
Yep.
Which is usually backed up 2 years with court cases. This will help communities tremendously.
Cool. Do we have any other public comments?
I do have, just one. So if somebody, doesn't mow their lawn or doesn't bring their garbage cans in when they're supposed to, somebody will say something to them.
And usually
Usually,
it's a board member or the
Okay.
mayor, it's not anyone
Okay.
else that ever does it.
So.
And the board members we're not particularly fond of having to do it.
So I feel like that's kind of what that is, like, if somebody says, you're in violation of this ordinance, that's saying, you're in violation of this ordinance, there's no need to go to, another layer, there's no need to, so if you're told, and if you said, like, if I put my garbage cans out, and I forget to bring them in, although I actually do know, some of my neighbors just leave them out there on their curb. So if you know what I mean, like if you never bring them in, and then somebody says, hey,
Somebody will say something. Trust me,
gotta
it's a
bring-
small town.
you gotta bring your garbage cans in. It's
I
an
will hear
ordinance.
about it.
Yeah,
Trust me.
so then you hear that and you say, oh, gosh, I didn't even know.
Right.
And so there wouldn't be a need for.
That's why we send a letter. We tell them, cut your grass, and if you don't, here's what you're looking
Right,
at.
so that's.
So
that
that's the,
layer.
okay.
I
I'll
feel
cut my
like that's
grass.
that layer.
Yeah, that's that layer, actually.
Good point.
Can I add one thing to that? Just a question. The person who was parked during the snow, were they ever approached before a letter of fine?
Lived in this
was-
town for how many years?
It's
Its signs are up
Their whole
downtown.
life.
There are
It's-
people that have been repeaters over the years,
Yeah,
I've been on the board.
The
over the
repeat
years.
offenders on
The
the
same
same thing.
people over and over, they know.
And
Weren't there two, though?
Yep, and the other person will probably go to adjudication. What can I say?
And there was considerably more than 2 inches of snow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there was.
Is
But
there any other public?
as long as they understand, cause I mean, I'm relatively new to town. I don't know all of the ordinances, but if I had chickens that were running about.
I'd hear
And-
about it, and you'd hear
somebody-
about it.
Yes, and then somebody said, hey, you gotta get your chickens under control, then
Yes,
I would either get my chickens under control or.
right,
Every year, when it's time for snow to fall, it's in our newsletter,
every year.
every year.
It's on our
It
website.
tells you.
Most of the critical ordinances are there. People, how many times have you seen on, Facebook, can we put our garbage cans out on Friday or Saturday? Because it was a holiday. Okay, well, if you go to our website, you can go to garbage pickup, it will tell you all the holidays that they don't pick up, and they'll have to do Saturday, always there. But somebody's always asking a question, and somebody will say, yeah, you gotta put your can out on Saturday, or no, it was some other goofy holiday, that's a federal holiday, but it's not necessarily a garbage holiday, So, yeah, the stuff is there, and people will ask questions, but
For the,
in a town of 400 units, 863 people, if you don't do something, I'm gonna hear about it. Or she's gonna hear about it.
and then
He's gonna hear about
And
it.
Does
then
anybody have a
somebody,
comment?
and then somebody will educate that person.
Absolutely.
on-
there are a lot of
Yeah.
communities that have administrative adjudications, okay? Let's say dog barking, that's a big one, okay? The first, like, 2, 3 offenses don't even end up there.
Right.
You're given a warning. The warning doesn't cost me money. It just, hey,
Yeah.
you're on notice, we've got it
But
documented.
somebody educates them.
Yes.
on
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
the education. That's called, legally, that's called constructive notice. Okay, so you've been put on constructive notice that this is a problem. We're counting on you as a responsible person to fix it.
You get a water bill,
You
and
get-
things are in that water bill, telling you.
Right. Does
all there.
anybody have a public comment not to do with adjudication?
Number 10.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Next meeting.
Yeah, get it.
Next meeting.
Next
Next
meeting.
meeting date, oh, man.
Slow down.
All right. What are we thinking? When do you think we need a next meeting? May?
Yeah, you better have one soon,
I
yeah.
think
it'll be
July, yeah.
I'd set it for April,
April 17th?
so we can, yeah.
Anybody have a problem with 17th?
No,
St. Patrick's Day,
it's,
bring beer.
no, that's.
It's Sunday. No, wait.
That's March,
All right, never mind.
6:30.
You
Here,
still
6
bring
o'clock.
six.
6 o'clock here.
Dave,
Yes.
Cindy will be able to help, except for a small window, because she's having a grandma camp with our 4 grandkids from Canada, and Norwood Park will be out for 2 weeks.
Help with what?
So, the 4th of July,
Oh,
whatever you need her for, she'll be able to step up and help.
all right. April 17th, 6 PM here.
Number 10.
Make a
Okay.
motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Cool.
All right. I'll give you,
Do you have a question?
I did have a question, yeah, but I don't, it doesn't need to, it was related to the adjudication. I was just curious, and you can, I know some of you want to go, so
No,
I'm
go
just
ahead,
curious.
go ahead.
I was curious how the process works now. I was kind of piecing it together, so, but I want to understand it just because I'm curious, really. So if an individual breaks an ordinance, the neighbor may or may not ask that individual, like, hey, cut your grass. Or they might just contact the village somehow.
Mhm.
And then the village, either by you, the president, or the village board goes and talks to that individual. That's
Or
that
sends a letter.
Or sends a letter.
Yeah, we send a letter,
Okay.
unless it's, with cutting the grass, we want it done now, because it's over 8 inches. So what I'll do is I'll tape a notice on their door, cut your grass. If you don't cut your grass by ordinance in 10 days, we will. And then you will get billed for it.
Okay. And then the individual complies or not with that letter, and possibly a fine.
Well-
If they comply with the letter and the expectation, then it's
If we
resolved.
cut the grass, we'll charge them for the grass cutting and that's it.
If you
Okay.
comply before that, my understanding is you won't get a fine.
Right.
No.
You know, you're just looking for voluntary compliance, and all the letter does is it documents that you put on constructive notice.
Yeah, we're not looking to make money off of people.
Yeah,
Does that
really.
make sense?
We want compliance.
So the, you haven't been fined by the time you get sent a letter yet,
No,
Okay.
no.
right? Okay. If they complies, it's resolved. If they don't comply, then there could be fines, and then from there,
What the
Correct.
adjudication would do if we enact that is, the village could say, we're gonna fine you so much, you don't have to pay anything until the adjudication judge either says, yes, you're liable for this, or no, you're not. So the village, it's like when you get stopped and you're issued a traffic citation, okay? It says right on there what the fine is. You can pay that fine if you want, okay? But you're not required to. You're entitled to be heard. And what this does is this gives us, as a village, the ability to give you, the citizen, an opportunity to be heard. And it's not gonna be the village attorney that listens to it. This is gonna be somebody else that is not associated with the village whatsoever. They're gonna come in and they're not taking Shavan's side, they're not taking the citizen's side. They're gonna say, give me the facts so I can make a decision.
But keep in mind, if I give you notice to cut your grass, and I don't come and cut it, every day that you haven't cut it, I think it's $50. Every day that fine, you read our ordinances under the fines, every day that the offense occurs and continues, it just grows and grows. I got a person that owes us like $6,000 right now, because he didn't take care of it. So, yeah, that's what happens. And that's why we're to the point we need an adjudication process. When you get to people that they're just throwing it in our faces, they're not taking care of it.
The letter that would be sent, that serves as evidence that you've been put on notice.
Put on notice.
And that strengthens the village's case. It can also, you know, if you have a situation that you can say, look, I've entered into, you know, a written conversation with the mayor, and this is what it says, and that would be evidence for you. But what it boils down to is just because you get a letter doesn't mean that you're on the hook for anything. Other than to just take care of what we expect you, what
Compliance.
all of us as residents expect you to take care of.
All right, anybody else? Let's get out of here.
What happens if someone doesn't, sorry, you can.
Yeah,
leave
no,
if
go
you
ahead.
want. What happens if someone doesn't, you give me the letter, you give me the notice, like you said, the person that owes
The final
$6,000.
keep increasing.
Do they're just like, whatever?
Well, I'll give you an example. He has a neighbor, the garage in the back was caved in.
Right,
Would you want that next door to you?
no, right.
Okay, because now it's attracting vermin, it's a danger to kids, it's a danger to people. So what we did is we sent him notice, you've gotta take care of this. And he ignored it. So then what happened is my inspector, the village inspector, went over and said, yeah, this really is a problem, they gotta take care of it, and we are going to take them to court. So their inspection report now becomes part of the claim against them because they're in violation, pictures, the whole 9 yards, and we go to court. How long were we in court?
2 years.
2 years,
With
okay?
a broken garage, that was just gonna
You know,
be
it
worse.
collapsed.
It fell in.
It fell in, so he ended up tearing down the whole garage. I had just notified our attorney that I want to, charge him not only with it, but enforce the dangerous building ordinance that we have and have it tear down. But he had it torn down, so now I don't have to enforce that. So he took care of it, he complied. We had another person in court, up on, I'll say, North Illini. It was a terrible condition the place was in, she fixed it. Now she complied, told her she's not gonna have to pay any fines, you complied. You know, I think we had 3 people, we have another person in court right now that is in non-compliance, and it has been over 2 years, and I told the attorney, start knocking him for a daily fee. He's probably up to $16,000. You know, now, what do we got, you know, that's what we have to do, that's what we'll do.
But that wouldn't go to an adjudicator, that would go to court.
Well,
That thing's
initially, if we had an adjudicator, it would go to the adjudicator.
Resolve the whole thing quickly.
Which
Right.
wouldn't be anywhere near $16,000.
No,
it wouldn't be
We're
near
talking
that.
about much smaller.
Right.
It's just, to me, it just gives, you're not coming in with everything against you.
Yeah.
You know?
And all the compiling.
And you can bring in legal counsel, that can argue on your behalf. You know, it's a legal, recognized legal avenue for you to be heard. And if you don't like what is said, you can appeal it up to the
Right.
circuit court.
Right.
But right now, if I don't agree with your fines and your notice, I can just keep doing what I'm doing, and
Correct, but then.
you would have to pay to possibly go take me to court
No,
eventually,
what
or
you'd be
what?
found is in contempt here, and then that contempt would be forwarded up to the,
And the adjudicator would
And the
find you in
adjudicator.
Well, I'm
contempt.
talking not about the adjudicator process, I'm talking right now as it stands, the process is
yeah, if you don't pay, you end up in court, which is.
eventually.
Yeah,
Yes,
eventually,
eventually, yeah, you would end up in court. But right now, keep in mind that if the village wanted, we could surpass that, like we did with the garage, and go right to court. We can go straight to court. I mean, the adjudication process is making it a little more quick, it's making it quicker, it's making it less expensive, and making it easier on the citizen.
Who pays for the court now?
Now,
Is it the offender, or
The
is it the
offender.
village?
the offender, I think
Okay.
we got money off of them for
Yeah.
that.
Oh, if they're found
Yeah.
guilty?
To
Oh,
be taken to court, if you're taken to court by any municipality, the municipality is they're paying for that until you're found guilty, and then the judge would have to assess, the fees.
Right.
and court
If you look at
costs.
our ordinances, it's in the ordinances, that the offender will pay the fees, the attorney fees.
gotcha, okay, that I just wanted to understand.
Yeah, sure, but
Not like I'm planning on breaking ordinance.
Yeah, well, I got your number
If-
now.
if something is written in the
Dave
ordinance,
watches the house.
okay, you still, a judge can still overturn it.
Huh? I don't know.
It doesn't
Find
change
out.
the law, but it just can say, in this case, you're not having to pay until I rule.
Okay, got it.
And then the village would have to appeal that to the appellate court in order for that to be overturned.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you. I appreciate the extra time in explaining that.
Yeah,
That's
no
right.
problem, no problem.
Thank you.
All right. Last person out, shut the lights off.